What parent hasn't experienced the sick feeling of misplacing a child, or the relief when he or she is finally found? But what if he isn't found? For 2 hours, 2 days, never. Kidnap. The word conjures up a parent's worst nightmare. Hello, I'm Cindy Williams, and as a parent, there's nothing more terrifying than the thought of my own children missing. That's why I feel it's so important to continue educating myself as well as my family so that we remain safe, happy, and together. You just watched our friend Corny zap his way out of some very real-life threatening situations, the very situations that thousands of kids every year find themselves in. The sad truth is that most aren't as lucky as Corny. In fact, they've become a statistic. The U.S. Department of Justice released a shocking study in 1988 that has remained unchanged for the past 6 years. Over 350,000 children a year are abducted by family members, usually in estranged family or divorce situations. The trauma to children can be enormous. Over 4,600 children are abducted by non-family members, in other words, strangers. 300 plus of those abductions are children who are gone for long periods of time. Tragically, 50 to 150 of those are murdered each year. To help us further understand this issue, let me introduce Dr. Laura Schlesinger, noted psychotherapist, host of the nationally syndicated radio talk show, and author of the current best-selling book, 10 Stupid Things Women Do to Mess Up Their Lives, and a parent herself.
Thank you, Cindy.
Dr. Schlesinger, what happens to kids who are kidnapped?
Well, sadly, most children are taken by sex offenders. Others are exploited in child pornography or prostitution rings, or especially in the case of infants, are sold. It's important for parents to understand that few kidnappers randomly snatch a child. Rather, they groom the child sometimes for weeks, even months before they make their move.
What do you mean by groom?
They hang out near the schools, churches, or other places where children congregate and watch for opportunities to cultivate certain types of children.
And what types are those?
Well, children with poor self-images, those who are easily intimidated by their peers or who are pleasers, ones who are desperate for love or friendship.
What else?
They watch for how friendly a child is. Will he come up to a car? Is she easily flattered? Do they hang with a group, or can they be tempted away alone? They also observe where the adults are in the child's life. How much protection does the child have? Does the child walk home alone? Is he or she a latchkey child coming home to an empty house?
Then what happens?
Kidnappers begin by making friends with the child, finding moments to talk to them, flatter them, play with them. They often offer gifts of candy or toys. They subtly gain a child's trust and get them to confide in them. They ask questions like, where are your parents? Are you happy at home? One of the most recent and insidious ploys kidnappers use is the computer. Total strangers engage in conversations with computer-savvy kids on what are called BBSs, or bulletin board services.
How does that relate to kidnappings?
Adults, often sexual deviants, pose as another child during computer chats. Sometimes without warning, they bring up pornographic material on a screen, and once it's in a child's mind, it tends to ricochet around and stay in there. The worst scenario is eventually the adult arranges to meet the child face-to-face, and the kidnapping or molestation occurs.
To me, the scariest part about this is a criminal can get in touch with virtually anyone, anywhere, that he or she can access with a computer. Now, what do you advise in this case?
Parents should first understand how the computer works and what their child does on the computer. Never use the computer as a babysitter. Advise the children not ever to give out personal information over computer networks. If a child wants to meet someone they have contact with, certainly parents should accompany them.
Well, this is very disturbing stuff. The bad news is most child offenders are clever and devious, and in most cases children innocently go along with them of their own free will. The kidnapper breaks down the defenses and then moves in. First the grooming, then the assault. The good news is over 100,000 attempted kidnappings a year are thwarted by street-smart, confident, informed kids who get away safe. What's the best way for a parent to teach their children?
Parents can set up scenarios of safety. For example, honey, You're in front of the house and somebody drives by and says, "I'm lost. Could you get in the car and show me where to go?" You explain to your child to say no. At the corner there's a police station. You don't get close to the car and you come home and tell mommy. And I think when children have concrete ideas of what to do, they are more safe. Ask children if there is an adult at school or church or anywhere who makes them feel very uncomfortable, uneasy, scared. Trust your child's intuition and never make them feel that they will be reprimanded for what they say or feel about another adult, even a family member. Know where your children are at all times, and very small children should never be left alone in public, never. Expect older children to let you know where they are at all times. Make them accountable.
And parents, do your children know where you are right now? Leave your phone number and whereabouts with your children at all times.
Investigate child care providers thoroughly. Check their references, even police records. If you don't trust the person, don't trust them with your child.
I just can't be with my child every minute of the day or night.
You can find another responsible adult as well as empower your children to protect themselves. Kids need information, even if it's a little bit scary. It would be more scary to be kidnapped.